Police Department responded to reports of a shooting in the 600 block of Barton's Landing Place, a gated condominium community off Cliffdale Road. Despite medical efforts, Van Cliff succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased shortly after arrival. A disturbing video circulating on social media appears to show a man calmly walking around the complex while holding a rifle-style weapon in the moments following the shooting. The footage recorded by a resident captured the panic and confusion as neighbors watched in fear from their homes. The individual seen in the video was eventually taken into custody at the scene, but he waited, which was important. However, police have not publicly identified the suspect, and no formal charges have been announced at this time.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Southern KD, and I'm back with another video. You feel me? You already read the title. You know what this video finna consist of, so I'm not gonna bore you with the pre-game details of what's finna happen in the video. But what I am finna say is, I wanna get y'all in these videos, man. I wanna be more interactive with y'all. I wanna do a cop a drop on y'all guns. I don't care if it's a BB gun. I don't care if it's a water gun. I don't care if it's a stick gun. I don't care if you went outside and found a stick that looked like a gun. Send it to me on my Instagram right here. Send me a DM of your gun on my Instagram so I can react to it. I could cop a drop, rate 1 through 10, however I decide to do it. But without all that talk, you know, we already had more than halfway through this hour. So, gotta get into the video. Right now.
Nobody wins when the family feels.
It's an AR.
The AR. We found the second AR. It was 352. It's 352 800 8988. Oh my God, this guy is dead. Yeah. Hey, then run up to him.
No, you can't do nothing. Let's get in. You're gonna have him shoot over here.
Go back. Bill, right there. I killed that. He shot my car first.
Authorities are searching for a gunman in connection to a deadly shooting. It happened just before 10:30 this morning on Barton's Landing Place. Police say at least one person was found with gunshot wounds. That victim later died at the hospital. Police have not released the victim's identity, and we're still also working to learn more about the suspects involved.
Some of us don't know how to take advantage of another opportunity, what some would say is second chance at life. And at times, your actions can ruin the opportunity for the next person. In a small town in North Carolina, a man's story is emblematic of a cycle of violence and missed opportunities for redemption. A man that was arrested at the age of 21 in 2010, in a story we'll later discuss, he spent more than a decade behind bars before being released. Yet, based on the allegations, he still was given another opportunity at life. Yet, his life was marred by ongoing struggles and reckless behavior. His time in prison was supposed to serve as a second chance, but instead, it seemed to fuel a pattern of violence that ultimately led to his tragic death. Authorities report that a man was killed after opening fire on another individual, a stark reminder of how unchecked anger and past mistakes can calculate in fatal consequences. The circumstances surrounding his death are intertwined with the darker episodes involving violence and desperation, including a disturbing incident involving a 3-year-old girl, where reports indicate that she was caught in a brutal robbery that led to this 3-year-old child having a firearm inside her mouth, linked to her brother's illicit dealings, which makes it difficult for society to have sympathy for individuals who perpetrate cycles of violence, especially when innocent lives are in danger. And let's be real, fam. These tragedies highlight the challenges in addressing crime and providing second chances to those who might not fully grasp the gravity of their actions. Adding to the tension is a recent incident captured on camera, where the man we'll later discuss was killed early morning, and what authorities describe as self-defense. Given the suspect's prior criminal history and the nature of this incident, it questions about justice. But nonetheless, we go over this story. We talk about the details. Of course, we pay our respects to those who lost their life, and we see where we stand today. But before we go over this one, I want you guys to remember, I don't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna jump right to it. Fam, meet Dante Van Cliff, 36 years old. He made headlines in 2010 at just the age of 21 with him and his crew. He was charged in a Rayford home invasion. It was Friday, March 7, 2010. Rayford police said 4 men, 2 women were charged in a home invasion, which one of the men put a gun in a 3-year-old's mouth. Police said 2 men wearing red knit hats, red bandanas, covering their faces, and white t-shirts forced their way inside the home of David and Billy Sue Fry in the 400 block of North Wright Avenue. They pushed Billy Sue Fry to the floor and put a gun in the mouth of the couple's 3-year-old daughter. The men hit and kicked David Fry when he tried to protect his family. They took 6 shotguns, a rifle, credit and debit cards, and keys from the home and threatened to return and kill the family if anyone called police. Police say that the robbers knew Fry's 17-year-old son, but he backtracked on his initial belief that they could be gang members. Brian Keith Jones, 22 years old, and Dante Maurice Van Cliff, 21, both of 6544 Lagoon Drive, Fayetteville, North Carolina, had been charged with 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill and assault by point.
10 shotguns, or what he say, 4 shotguns, or whatever, bro. You don't need them many shotguns.
And a firearm. 2 counts of first-degree kidnapping, 1 count of breaking and entering, robbery with a dangerous weapon, second-degree kidnapping, and assault with a deadly weapon.
Police arrested 5 people for a home invasion where a 3-year-old girl had a gun pointed into her mouth. Now, this happened March 7th in Rayford. As Brian Mims reports, the arrest brings some comfort but not closure.
It's almost been 2 weeks since the several people entered my home.
David Fry has an image in his head that's as vivid as his blue eyes. If only he could shut those eyes, make it go away.
No. Every time I close my eyes, I see it.
He sees his 3-year-old daughter. She's at home, her little Tykes playset and pink bike in the yard. She has a pistol barrel in her mouth. She's dangling from a man's hand. She's crying.
And every time I see the 2 that enter the house, I flash back.
Rayford police say these are the 2 men who broke into his house, 22-year-old Brian Keith Jones and 21-year-old Dante Maurice Van Cleef. 2 other men and a woman were arrested as accomplices. Fry says the men beat him unconscious, stole 6 shotguns, a rifle, credit cards. The house sits along Wright Avenue, as peaceful a neighborhood street as you'll find anywhere. It was a Sunday afternoon. The sun was shining when this family's nightmare arrived at the front door.
If something creaks, crawls, or whatever, my wife's up out of the bed.
The family returned to the home this week for his little girl.
So why she didn't grab a shotgun
at the
then?
house, it seems to be the worst. She has a bunch of play guns, laser guns that we bought her for Christmas, and she picks them up and tells us that she's going to protect Mom and Daddy.
Of course, he's relieved by the arrest. Police say the crime was retaliation against Fry's 17-year-old son.
My son has hung with some pretty bad people.
They say the sheer brazenness of the crime is telling.
I would say that when you put drugs and greed and violence together, it knows no boundaries, it knows no ages, and it knows no sex.
And in this father's head, it's an image that knows no end. Brian Mims, WRAL News, Rayford.
Police are still looking for these 3 who are described as accomplices: Ymir Busby, Marlena Spruill, and Lance Van Cleef. The 5 in custody face robbery, kidnapping, and assault charges. Each is in jail on a $1 million.
Fast forward to 2025, 15 years later, Dante Van Cliff, 36 years old, and he'd been home for only 2 years from their latest incident. But on Sunday, May 4th, 2025, at around 10:22 a.m., officers with the Fayetteville Police Department responded to reports of a shooting in the 600 block of Barton's Landing Place, a gated condominium community off Cliffdale Road. Despite medical efforts, Van Cliff succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased shortly after arrival. A disturbing video circulating on social media appears to show a man calmly walking around the complex while holding a rifle-style weapon in the moments following the shooting. The footage recorded by a resident captured the panic and confusion as neighbors watched in fear from their homes. The individual seen in the video was eventually taken into custody at the scene, but he waited, which was important. However, police have not publicly identified the suspect, and no formal charges have been announced at this time. Authorities confirmed that all individuals directly involved in the incident are cooperating with the ongoing investigation, and there is currently no active threat to the community. Now, it's been reported that the reason that the man didn't get aired out to the public is because he was protecting his family. He stayed on the scene, which was self-defense, and that was the best thing he could have did. Now, someone was under the comments and quoted, "From what I heard, dude had allegedly shot at him first. So Buddy spun the block and fired back and ended up taking his life. That's the only reason he waited for the police due to self-defense. But the only thing I feel self-defense gotta be within the actual moment. Somebody fire at you. So ain't no telling how this gonna go in court, unless he got a good lawyer." Someone also mentioned, in Sarah's video, he explained he shot at his car and tried to ambush him. Second dude ran off. But the most in-depth comment was this one. Someone quoted, "No, they live in a complex. There was an issue while they were driving. Comments were shared at one another, and people took it personal and followed them home just to sneak up on them and continue to fight. And it resulted in the other person letting off shots fly towards the car where his girlfriend and him were. Not only did they have a son that's under 1 year old in the apartment, but his girlfriend is pregnant. So he did what he did to protect his family. People try to hurt you over the smallest comments because they can't take criticism and take it as disrespect. Me and my family have been through something like this as well. In the cookout drive-thru, just for telling the dude to turn his car off because it was loud while we were trying to order. Keep in mind he wasn't moving, so I don't know why it was an issue. Nobody inside could hear anyone order. He took it personal and cut us off when we tried to leave. Told my brothers to get out the car and was punching him and ended up pulling a gun out. This type of stuff happens every day. Nobody is safe. It's crazy I know this guy, and he had to go through the same thing but worse. This is sad.
Police, they tell me they are still investigating this incident. I spoke with a man who recorded this now viral video. He tells me he couldn't believe what he saw.
The best thing you can do when you claiming self-defense is stay on that scene.
What he recorded
do not run away.
Of self-defense. This cell phone video showing the moments immediately following a deadly shooting in Fayetteville. Fayetteville police say they responded to the Barton's Landing condominiums to find 36-year-old Dante Van Cleef shot to death.
It's an AR.
The apparent gunman could be seen wielding a firearm while walking around the parking lot and waiting for police to arrive.
Shots were fired all over the place.
This man who shot this now viral video did not want to show his face, but tells me he and his girlfriend called police after they heard the shots and says the shooter was ambushed by Van Cleef and another man.
From when I just came out and peeped over, the gentleman was already dead on the ground, and the other guy kept yelling like, "There's another one." He ran off.
Without knowing who else was possibly still running around the neighborhood with a weapon, our eyewitness says he tried to stay out of harm's way, but wanted to document what was happening about 50 yards away.
Move, Sarah.
It was crazy. That's a weapon of mass destruction. I was scared just seeing it, and that's why I told my girlfriend to get back, because you never know what's going on in his head, and I'm sure that thing was loaded up.
He propped that gun on his shoulder like these.
Like that while it was going on, it'd be like he might shoot at us too.
Yeah.
We didn't know what was going on.
Minutes later, police could be seen on camera arriving at the scene.
He got down on the ground and complied with the police, and the police was asking him what's going on.
I don't know. He ran off. And I'm sitting here trying to find him now. Because he might try to double back and hit me.
Bullet holes could be seen on the side of the building where the shots were fired.
That was definitely self-defense.
Without question.
Without question. After what I heard and what he told the police and all that, it was definitely self-defense.
And I spoke with Fayetteville police earlier today. They tell me all parties involved are cooperating. They also have yet to announce any arrests, let alone any suspect information. If you happen to know anything about that shooting, you have to
end that right there. That was the end of the video anyway. But dang. Ooh. Now, I'm finna say this now though. $1 million bond? Come on now, Jay. I know plenty of people that went to jail for armed robbery. They bond be set at 20, 30,000, 40,000. Now I understand the whole thing with bro daughter was over excessive. So maybe $100,000 bond, 150,000, but $1 million though? 1 million. Y'all better understand why that bond was set so high. Watch this video thoroughly and understand why that bond was set so high. Okay? There's a reason why that bond was set so high, and it's not because of the child. See y'all in the next video.